1 year ago this evening, 80-year-old Bhim Kohli was fatally attacked in a park just metres from his home in Leicestershire. Bhim was racially abused and attacked by a 14-year-old boy while a 12-year-old girl filmed the assault. Both were convicted of manslaughter. Bhim was attacked 2 weeks after he intervened in an attack on another man by 2 teenage boys. Now, they weren't involved in Bhim's death, but his family strongly believes that if police had taken action against them immediately to clamp down on antisocial behaviour, Bhim may not have been killed. I've been speaking to Bhim's daughter Susan in the park where he was attacked while walking his dog.
On that day, they just got through this tree section out the other end, just to where that bench is in the far right there. That's where the boy had struck Dad the first time. Dad then got to his feet, coming home because he'd just been assaulted. And he didn't even reach the gate to come home. The boy then attacked my dad again here, and this is where some of the neighbours and the community had found my dad. And then my nephew came out.
Just here, again?
Just literally here.
Just feet from your front door?
Yeah.
Your father had been targeted before
Yes.
the attack that killed him, and that had been reported.
So the first incident was in July, when it was my dad. They were abusive and racial comments, as well as spitting at my dad. I had reported that. The police had came and done some door-to-door, and it was identified that there was various occasions that there was antisocial behaviour on our area. After that, there was one in August, which...
This is where you and your dad intervened on behalf of somebody else?
That is correct, yeah. Myself and my dad intervened because I didn't like the way it was going. I actually started recording it from my room.
Let's have a sit down, because I want to talk to you about what you feel has been the police response, in particular Leicestershire Police's response to antisocial behaviour in this area. Because, as you said, after your dad's death, you went to them and asked for information about what they had been doing to address neighbourhood concerns about antisocial behaviour.
So these 2 individuals in the August event were not connected to my dad's death. But if you look at the fact that they didn't do anything prior to my dad's death, then why is it that they're not taking these things seriously? Are they just waiting for something to happen? Because that's literally what it looks and feels like. They waited for someone to lose their life before they took any stance. If they had arrested these 2 boys prior to that incident on the 1st of September, there is a possibility my dad could still be here.
You feel it would have been a deterrent, a message to kids in this community?
Yes, so
that it
to
won't be
reiterate,
tolerated.
these 2 boys that were involved in the incident in August were not related to my father's death.
But it was a chance for police to lay down a marker and send a
correct.
message. Susan, as well as police responsibility in tackling antisocial behaviour and accountability for how they deal with it, something else that you really want to talk about is sentencing guidelines for children, always a controversial topic. The 15-year-old boy, 14 at the time, of attacking your father, he was sentenced to 7 years in custody, and the 13-year-old girl, 12 at the time of the attack, was given a 3-year youth rehabilitation order and a 6-month curfew. There was an appeal process for those sentences being seen by many, including yourself, as unduly lenient. That was not upheld. And you're not calling for whole life orders for children, but you do believe that there should be tougher sentencing for children who take a life.
We need the sentencing guidelines to be looked at. Whether it's a child or an adult, They know what they are doing at that age. Why is it because they are a child that they get half the sentence of an adult? It's going to be out in 3.5 years or even less. How is that justice for taking somebody's life? That's not justice at all. They've given us a life sentence and they've got less. Now, if you're going to serve a sentence of 7 years, then that should be a full sentence of 7 years.
Can I ask you about parental responsibility? Because, you know, during that 6-week trial, you sat in the same courtroom as the parents of the 2 children who killed your father. And again, this is an issue that comes up when we talk about children committing crimes, antisocial behaviour, the question, where are the parents? What's your view on parental responsibility in these kind of cases?
There should be some responsibility and accountability from the parent. We were there daily. Now, the boy's mother was there daily. But once again, no remorse, no consideration that your son has just taken a life of somebody.
It's relatively new, but in the United States, the law is increasingly holding parents accountable for their children's criminal actions.
Yes.
Some of them finding themselves in court. Do you think that's a place we could ever get to here in the UK? And do you think it would be an effective deterrent? As I said, so new in the United States, we don't know whether it will be a deterrent. I'd just be interested to know your thoughts on that.
I really think we need to bring that in, because if we look at that, the parents will then sit up and think, right, you know what? We need to know what our child is doing. We need to know how they are behaving in school. We need to understand if they're being a bully or not. Because until they do that, things are not going to change.
Well, Susan, I appreciate you coming back to this park to talk to us about everything that's happened since your father's death. You know, we're 12 months on and you've done so much in terms of, you know, there's been a trial, sentencing, an appeal, but it's important to talk about your dad a year on, about Bhim. You know, this park was part of his everyday life, him and his dog Rocky. How are you remembering him a year on? I know you've got a big smile on your face as soon as I mentioned his name.
3 times a day, 4 times a day he would come into this park, and he was well known by the community, even just stopping and talking to him. And the memories that we've got of Dad, and there's loads of memories.
What do you think he would make of you becoming this voice, this campaigner for change in his name?
The day of the Court of Appeal, when we came out after the sentencing, the clouds was very dark. And whilst I was standing outside, there was some thundering. I was very lucky that he actually waited until I got back into my car before the skies opened, and it chucked it down with rain. And I just feel that as a sign, thinking, yeah, okay, he's not happy. And I'm hoping that he's looking down thinking, right, yeah, you go, girl.
Little sign for you to carry on to channel some of that thunder and...
Yeah, thunder and that fight to continue to get the right outcome for the future, because we need to stop this.
Well, a huge thank you to Susan for speaking to me, and the family holding a candlelit vigil for members of the community to remember Bhim tomorrow evening. We wish them well with that. We have got in touch with Leicestershire Police, who have told us that due to prior contact with Bhim, the force referred itself to the Independent Office for Police Conduct. The resulting investigation finding that proportionate and reasonable lines of inquiry were followed and no misconduct or missed opportunities which could have prevented Bhim's death were identified. Chief Superintendent Jonathan Starbuck said this: "We know that antisocial behaviour has a huge impact on people's lives. Preventing and addressing incidents and community concerns is of the utmost importance to our force in order to ensure the safety of our residents. This is something we continue to work on, address and to make ongoing improvements wherever we can. Through our own local investigation, following direction by the IOPC, we also identified organisational learning in relation to improving our system of logging and tagging antisocial behaviour incidents." Meanwhile, an IOPC spokesperson said, "We agreed with Leicestershire Police's finding that police officers did proactively investigate matters reported to them, and there was nothing to indicate any officers or police staff committed a criminal offence or behaved in a manner justifying disciplinary proceedings."